Did the UAE and America just sign a secret $1.4 trillion Bitcoin deal? Well, I know that might sound like a little bit of hyperbole, but this week, the brother of the president of the UAE not only met with Donald Trump's right-hand man, David Sachs, who is the crypto czar of America, but this secret spy, who is the brother of the president of the UAE, also met with Orange Man himself, Donald Trump. Now, this story is absolutely more crazy than I could have ever imagined it to be, because this man is known as a little bit of a secret spy. And everybody knows that the UAE right now is looking to spend $1.4 trillion and invest that and divest that away from oil. So today we're going to be exposing what exactly David Sachs, the crypto czar of America, and Donald Trump were talking about with this Middle Eastern giant, who is, by chance, a spy. And we're going to be looking at whether or not there could be a little bit of a Bitcoin angle to this. Because we all know just recently, America announced that they're going to be creating a sovereign wealth fund for the first time ever. Obviously, for the past 2 to 3 weeks since that announcement, everybody's been speculating what is going to be in America's sovereign wealth fund. Are they going to invest in bonds? Are they going to invest in the Middle East? Are they going to invest in oil? Or are they going to invest into Bitcoin? Well, this rabbit hole is a little bit of an interesting one, because today I want to actually be having a look at the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world. There is a brand new chart I want to show you guys that came out this month. And it is looking at the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world. And again, surprise, surprise, the UAE. Have a look at that big slice of the pizza. The UAE has a $1.1 trillion sovereign wealth fund. And the brother of their president was just having a little bit of a meeting, a closed-door meeting with Donald Trump, president of America, and David Sachs, crypto czar. So I want to really start exposing what these guys were talking about, because right now there is public knowledge that they were discussing AI and cryptocurrency. So here's the tweet. I don't need to highlight this for you guys. We can see David Sachs meets a top UAE executive, that's his name, official Sheikh Tarnoon, to discuss AI and cryptocurrency. So this is right now public knowledge. Now, what else is public knowledge? Is that this gentleman, Mr. Sheikh, he's known as the spy Sheikh, taking the AI world by storm. And we can see here, have a look at the subheading of this article in the Wall Street Journal. Abu Dhabi's Tarnoon has more than $1.5 trillion to spend, and he's in a hurry, grappling with Mark Zuckerberg. So we've known for a long time that the UAE has been trying to divest themselves away from oil. They are heavily invested into oil, and for some time now, they've been trying to get out of being so concentrated like they are, reliant upon the commodity of the 20th century. This was oil. We all know that oil drove the 20th century revolution. But now we can see Saudi oil giant spends well over $1 billion on sports washing. Now, again, we're not going to get into all of the political angles to this. This is more the reality that I want to remain in for today's video. We're not going to break out the old tinfoil hat like we do from time to time. But what we are going to be doing is looking at the tangible investments the UAE are making. Because we also know that the UAE and all of these Middle Eastern giants have been looking to Bitcoin for some time here. Max Kaiser retweeted this image that was circulating on Friday, which kind of broke Twitter. And he says the IMF has issued a warning to the UAE to avoid Bitcoin or risk destabilizing their economy. There was a little bit of satire in that tweet, because we all know what happened to El Salvador, Bitcoin country, when they, of course, decided to divest away from this US dollar central banking cartel-led system where the world has to use US dollars to buy oil. Now, again, we're not going to go into that rabbit hole today either, but what we are going to say is This is not just a one-off event. The Middle East have been making a pivot and making a play into Bitcoin for some time now. This headline came only a month ago. So in the middle of February, we brought you guys this story, and we can see Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth fund bought $436 million of ETFs in Q1. So this is the sovereign wealth fund that is the fourth largest sovereign wealth fund in the world. Again, shout out to Visual Capitalists for creating some of the best images I've ever found for macroeconomics and geopolitics. But here it is, the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. They are the fourth biggest sliver on this little pizza that we're looking at right here. They have invested a lot of money into Bitcoin ETFs. And we only found this out because they had to release this in a Q1 filing. This is the interesting thing about these ETFs. Now, we do know that if the Middle East is mining Bitcoin privately, we actually don't know how much Bitcoin they do hold. All we know is how much they hold from the ETFs, because all of that stuff, it has to be public knowledge. We also know Saudi Arabia's $620 billion sovereign wealth fund has backed a ton of crypto-friendly VCs. So we're going to be making a little bit of a case today for why the Middle East could be making a move into Bitcoin in a pretty rapid way. So here's another photo I wanted to show you guys from the meeting. This is the Sheik himself, the secret spy Sheik, photographed with Donald Trump. AI, aluminum, chips. The one thing left off this article headline was, of course, Bitcoin and crypto. So we can see there's a few people switched on in the chat. AAR says the UAE buying and mining 400,000 coins. Now, for those who missed those rumors or don't quite understand that reference, I'm going to continue to build this story surrounding the Middle East and not just the Middle East, but surrounding countries and how much Bitcoin they want to buy. So we can see here, these are the rumors that were circulating about a month or two ago now. Bitcoin breaks $93,000 amid rumors that Saudi Arabia, UAE, or Qatar is buying Bitcoin. Now, there are rumors that all of those Middle Eastern countries are buying and mining Bitcoin right now, which is why this meeting that happened last Friday got so much attention on Twitter. I'm actually shocked that less people have been talking about this on YouTube, which is why I've decided to go live at 5:30 on a Sunday night to bring you guys this Middle Eastern rabbit hole that I think is only getting more interesting by the day. So we can see here, the UAE wants to invest $1.4 trillion in the US over 10 years after this Trump meeting. So again, who's the biggest miner of Bitcoin in the entire world? Well, of course that is America. I want to show you guys a chart of that, because right now America holds more than 35% of the global Bitcoin hash rate. So we can see here at the very top, we got a little tally. This one's telling me that America has 37% of the global Bitcoin mining hash rate. And China still has 21%, despite it banning Bitcoin way back in 2021. So here's a little bit of a distribution hot map, so to say. The darker the color is indicating which country has more Bitcoin mining hash power within it. We can see Bitcoin mining really is dominated in the US and China. It really is a 21st century economic battle that we're watching unfold. We're watching the globe's superpowers battle it out over the new form of money. Now, this kind of battle that we're talking about, this is one that's been written about for many years now. Many people who follow Ray Dalio's work will be familiar with this chart here that shows us every 100 years, we do see a little bit of a transition in the global reserve currency. The US dollar has been that global reserve currency for 100 years now. And a lot of people are speculating that China wants to challenge America and overtake America when it comes to having the power to print money. Here's another really cool chart that actually shows us this battle over 500 years. So you will notice that the dominant empire of each century held the global reserve currency. So we can see in the 1400s, this was the Portuguese. They held the global reserve currency for 80 years. Then the Spanish Empire took over. They held that global reserve currency for 110 years, between 1530 and 1640. Then the Great Dutch Empire ruled the world for around 100 years. They held that global reserve currency between 1640 and 1720. Then the French, they took over. They held the global reserve currency for 95 years. Then the Brits dominated the 19th century. They held the reserve currency for 105 years. And now America has held that global reserve currency for around 100 years at the time of recording. Now that number, 100 years, it's an interesting number because what does it have in common with the last 600 years of global reserve currencies? You guys will notice that on average, each empire, each global superpower held on to that global reserve currency for around 100 years. Let's have a look. 80 years, 110, 80 years, 95, 105. That averages out to be about 95 to 100 years. Quick maths off the top of my head says. And America right now, they've had it for 100 years. So what comes next? Who is going to be taking over this global reserve currency? A lot of people think it's China. Some people even think that maybe we're going to be seeing a BRICS-backed currency. Now, this gets interesting because obviously BRICS is expanding. BRICS is no longer BRICS like it used to be. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now we have other countries, including some of these Middle Eastern giants that we're talking about today. They are all applying to become a part of BRICS. And a lot of people are pointing the dots and kind of beginning to speculate and ask the question, which way, Western man? Which way, Mr. BRICS man? Which way are these countries going to go? Are they going to try to create a gold-backed currency? Or are they going to try to create a Bitcoin-backed currency? Because we all know that all of these Middle Eastern countries, they're out. They're done with the US dollar. They've already said, enough is enough. We're not going to be using this for the next 20 years. And even America is coming to this realization. And this is why I think it's really interesting that even the US right now is embracing Bitcoin in a pretty big way. So everybody would have seen news headlines like this: foreigners dump US treasuries. Who did the most selling? It's actually those who hold the most amount of US dollars who have been doing the most amount of dumping. Japan and China have been dumping US dollars at a pretty aggressive rate. They are the number one and the number two holders of US treasuries. This used to be the collateral underpinning the global economy. US treasuries. For 50 years, the world's government and central banks bought US treasuries and they assumed that they were as good as gold. Again, gold's been money for 7,000 years until 1971. I got a chart to show you on that topic as well. So this chart here kind of shows us, well, that chart doesn't show us much. Have a look at how blurry that is. That's trash. We can do better than that. Here we go. Look at that, crystal and clear. If we look at these we're going to call these creamy colored columns. That's what we're going to call those. But look at those creamy colored columns between the 1960s and 2008. What do you notice? Global central banks were not buying gold. For the first time in literally thousands of years, did the globe's superpowers not accumulate sound money, gold. What do you notice before and after? What do you notice in the 1950s and 60s? I'll let you guys figure that out while I take a drink. Who answered correctly in the chat? Central banks were buying gold. We were on a quasi gold standard. This is what Ali, that's a great name. I'm not going to butcher that last name, but this is what Ali says in the chat. And to Phil's point, the US seized Russia's treasuries in 2022, and they debased everybody's US dollars and US treasuries in 2008 in the global financial crisis. This is why the chart up on screen looks the way it does. The world said, nah, I'm done. I don't want these US treasuries. That's why they began accumulating gold at record rates for the first time in 50 years. And this is why we're watching the Middle East try to diversify away from oil, away from the petrodollar standard. The Middle East play to rule global sports. They're investing in sports. Have a look at this. This is the other chart I wanted to show you guys. Saudi Aramco's sport washing bet. Aramco, Saudi Arabia's national oil company and one of the most profitable companies in the world, is pouring at least $1.3 billion into sports deals. We can see they've invested 757 big ones, 757 million big ones, I should say, into football, around 500 million into motorsport, 50 million into cricket. I wonder how many people in the chat know what cricket is. One of my favorite sports from Australia. It's not very popular in America though, so I'd be interested. I know about 40 to 50% of you guys watching this live stream are actually from America, so who knows what cricket is? I wonder if Rock knows what cricket is. He's in the chat. Robert says sports are dumb. I've had a controversial opinion. Yeah, I'm not going to go down the controversial opinion of sports today. I'm going to stay on track. I do think there is an argument to be made that sports can be dumb. And I say that as someone who used to watch and play 14 to 15 hours of sports a day for a decade when I was younger, before I found Bitcoin. You know what they say? Give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. I do think that is why sports are pushed as heavily as they are today. It's all a little bit of bread and circuses. The government and the media don't want the everyday person thinking about what truly matters. Making money, building businesses, and climbing out of the little rat wheel that we're all on, that 9-to-5 rat wheel that the government's got you guys. I was going to do a running demonstration. I'm not going to do that. I'm in a hotel room. But they've got you guys running on that little treadmill, trying to pay off your mortgage, trying to pay off your car debt. And I typically do think sports are a pretty convenient anesthetic, so to say, for the populace that governments and media lean into to keep you guys thinking in a certain box. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole today, though. What I am going to talk about, thank you for the comment, Robert, sports are dumb. You nearly set me off on a 10-minute tangent there. What I am going to focus on today is why the Middle East are buying Bitcoin today and why it's so significant, especially considering a lot of people right now think the Bitcoin bull run's over. Now, again, let's check in on the price. I always tell you guys price is the least interesting thing about Bitcoin. But I don't think we'd be seeing the brother of the UAE's president having meetings with the president of America discussing AI and crypto, if they didn't have a long-term vision about it. Again, right now, retail thinks Bitcoin's dead. Retail is over Bitcoin. Retail doesn't care about Bitcoin. We've been going down for 3 months now. Bitcoin's on a 24% discount. You know what they say? Buy it while it's hot, guys. Buy your chippies while it's hot, because Bitcoin's, again, had a good start to this bull run. We're up 400% off the bottoms in 2022. As you can see, Bitcoin's just doing what it does. Trending up and to the right forever with a lot of volatility. And I'm not surprised that the Middle East are having these meetings about Bitcoin now, because I think, as we're about to explore, it's beginning to become a matter of national security for not just America to create a sovereign wealth fund and create a Bitcoin strategic reserve like they have recently. Again, pinch yourself. The largest nation state in the world and the issuer of the global reserve currency just recently said, yeah, we want a strategic Bitcoin reserve. That news is not reflected in an $83,000 Bitcoin price. If you guys had have asked me 5 years ago, where would the price of Bitcoin be if America, the largest nation state in the world, publicly signed an executive order announcing that they were going to accumulate Bitcoin for a strategic Bitcoin reserve? I would have said price of Bitcoin is at least $1 million per coin, at least. We're at 83,000. That gap, that knowledge gap, that's going to get filled. I think it's going to be filled faster than most people think. So that's your chance to figure it out, while these other nation states who, as this headline outlays, are slowly beginning to come to the realization that, hey, we need to meet with Trump's crypto czar because we need to improve and secure our national security. So this is actually who the guy with, I think, the coolest title in the world, the spy sheik, is. He's the brother of the president of the UAE. Again, this man nearly single-handedly controls $1.1 trillion of capital. That is how big the UAE Sovereign Wealth Fund is. But he's also their national security advisor. And now that he's meeting with the crypto czar of America, that's who David Sacks is. David Sacks isn't the national security advisor of America. No, he's the crypto czar. Crypto czar meeting with the national security advisor of the UAE. What are they talking about? How accumulating Bitcoin is a strategic risk, or not accumulating Bitcoin, I should say, is a strategic risk to your country? I think it is. If your country is not accumulating Bitcoin today, it is a national security risk. And I do want to break down this article that kind of sheds a little bit of light on this in a moment. But again, I'd just like to remind you guys, if you do want to front run these nation states and take advantage of the information asymmetry that I think we are blessed with today. Again, I think the Bitcoin price right now, based upon the fundamentals, we should be at $1 million a coin, not $83,000 a coin. And you know what? It's not even me who's saying that anymore. That is also BlackRock saying that. BlackRock is openly saying the Bitcoin price is going to catch up to the fundamentals soon. We laid that out in a video about 3 or 4 days ago. So if you want to take advantage of that information asymmetry and begin buying Bitcoin today, I always encourage you guys to check out the Bitcoin Well. I think they're the best Bitcoin only exchange there is in the world. They force you and whoever you send to the Bitcoin Well to self-custody your Bitcoin. Again, I love that from a value and mission-oriented standpoint. They tell you guys, we're not going to take self-custody of your Bitcoin. You need to learn about it. So again, if you do check out the Bitcoin Well and check out the link in the description of today's video, and get buy-in with the Bitcoin world today, they're going to actually be giving you guys some tokens for when you buy Bitcoin on the Bitcoin world. And then you can actually play some games on the Bitcoin world and throw these tokens into the wishing well. And you're even going to go into the chance to win 1% of a Bitcoin. How much is that today? That's about $800 last time I checked. And I think that's generational wealth. So again, check out the Bitcoin world, use promo code Green Candle, and start buying Bitcoin today and front run these nation states like the Middle Eastern giants who are FOMOing into Bitcoin at a pretty accelerated rate. Once you bought your Bitcoin from the Bitcoin world and you've been forced to learn about self-custody and you've put your Bitcoin in a hardware wallet, I always encourage you guys to also back up that Bitcoin correctly. Please, for the love of God, do not write down your little 12 or 24 words on a piece of paper. Paper's flimsy. Paper won't survive a house fire. Paper won't survive a flood. Paper won't survive a hurricane or even a dog looking to eat your breakfast in the morning. No, 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 no. I always encourage you guys, check out what Stampseed is doing. Stamp your generational wealth and your Bitcoin private keys into titanium. As you can see, very easy to use. It's idiot proof. I've done it. I mean, come on. If I've figured out how to stamp my Bitcoin backup words into titanium, I'm sure you guys can. So check out what Stampseed is doing. You guys can get a 15% off discount on anything you want to buy from Stampseed with a promo code Luke15. Easy to remember. My name rhymes with puke. That's Luke15. So let's get back to the national security risk that I think is facing countries who are not accumulating Bitcoin. So let's break down what actually happened. White House crypto and AI czar David Sachs was among a number of Trump administration officials who recently met with the UAE officials to discuss emerging technologies. Sheikh Tahnoon, the Gulf nation's national security advisor and brother of the country's president, said that he spoke to David Sachs about AI's impact and the expanding role of digital currencies, along with the investment opportunities emerging at their convergence. I'm going to go straight to the secret source so you guys believe that quote. But here he is. This is the gangster with the coolest profile picture I've ever seen. Let's have a look. Look at those sunnies. This is the secret spy of the UAE. That makes me want to put the blue light blocking glasses on just so I could be even 5% as cool as Mr. Tahnoon. But this guy, in all seriousness, you can see he tweeted this out from his own Twitter account. He said very clearly, we talked about the expanding role of digital currencies. So we're not speculating here. One of the largest Middle Eastern nations in the world is meeting with not only Donald Trump, but the crypto czar of America, Donald Trump's right-hand man, David Sachs, to talk about Bitcoin, and nobody's talking about it. Sometimes you just want to grab people by the shoulders and shake them. You're going to grab their eyes and open them. Come on, guys. Are you not seeing this? Incognito in the chat says he needs Bitcoin glasses. Richard James says, is this Mr. 100? You guys know I've speculated about Mr. 100 probably too much on this channel. Who knows who Mr. 100 is? All we do know is the dude's got a lot of Bitcoin. The dude or the she, who knows who it is? Apologies to Mr. 100 if it is a Mrs. 100. Just going to read the comments here. Dead end. That's an electric comment. Cricket was created when they couldn't find a decent baseball bat and found a half-ass hockey stick. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Controversial take. I actually like cricket more than baseball. Sorry to my Americans. Welcome to some of my Americans. Johnny Midas, greetings from the California desert. I've actually been out there. What's it called? It's got a really funny name. Johnny's Rock. Why am I thinking of Johnny's Rock? I'll think of it. I went to some desert like 3 hours away from LA. Did some stargazing. This is about 3 years ago now. Jacob's Rock? Not Jacob's Creek. Anyway, back on track. Aloha from Perth, Western Australia. Welcome, Ashley, fellow Australian in the house. Luke and Rock still haven't caught up in person yet, but we are going to. I'm actually in a different city in Peru right now. If I didn't have so much chaos happening with the lights behind me, I'd peep the camera outside for you guys. Actually, I might try. Is that going to work? I'm going to try to give you guys a look at the view of where I'm at right now. Can you guys see what I see? Let me turn this around. Oh, yeah, you can kind of see the mountains. Here you go. All right, all right, all right. Anyone who's been to Peru, if someone can tell me what city I'm in, I'll send you 20,000 sats. First correct answer in the chat. Tell me what city I'm in. And I'll send you I'll zap you some sats over the Lightning Network. There's 612 of you guys tuning in between YouTube and Twitter. First one to correctly answer what Peruvian city I'm in, I'm going to send you 20,000 sats. Oh, sorry, Bob. You're out of the running. You only get one guess too. That's rules of the game. I'm not in Lima. I'm somewhere that has far more mountains and hint, a lot more altitude. Classic way. You're in the center town of Cusco. Ding, 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 ding. Correct. Message me on Twitter. I'll make a post on Twitter and I'll hold up my end of the deal. Classic way, you just won 21,000 sats. I'm in Cusco. Dean, you are so close, my friend. Classic way beat you by the... I need to be careful what I say. I'm going to say he beat you by a whisker, by a split second. Rock nailed it as well. I'm in Inca land. I am way up in the Peruvian mountains right now. 3,500 meters above sea level. Speaking of being so high above sea level, I've been talking for 32 minutes. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm out of breath, and that's purely because of the altitude. They don't have clocks in Cusco. I don't know if that's a serious comment or not. Satoshi Sunrise. Don't apologize for being late, my friend. I'm always late. Just went to Machu Picchu yesterday, Arson. Actually filmed a little bit of a Bitcoin documentary at the top of Machu Picchu. Might have performed one of the very first Bitcoin transactions at the top of Machu Picchu live, actually. So stay tuned for that. CB knows what street I'm on. Oh, that's scared. How about I just send you 10,000 sats privately, CB? I don't want everyone to know where I am. With a crazy haircut like this, it's pretty easy for a stalker to find me. Machu Picchu is incredible. With all that said, guys, we got over 600 of you guys in here putting up with my altitude affected rants that I've been going on for 33 minutes. If you did join us late, I highly encourage you to rewind today's live stream and have a look at all of the dots I think could be beginning to connect themselves, and why I do think the UAE is FOMOing into Bitcoin in a pretty big way, and why I think it's interesting that the brother of their president is meeting with not only Trump, but also the crypto czar of America, the largest nation state in the world. I saw these two photos yesterday when I was on the way to Machu Picchu, and I was shocked. So again, if you join late, highly encourage you guys to rewind today's stream and check it out. And all that said, thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. Wishing you guys a happy Sunday night from the top of the world, Cusco, Peru. Go and enjoy yourselves.